Thanks for joining me again for another mobility flow. Today we will focus on the hips and all the ways the hips can move. I hope that this helps you improve the controllable, usable range of motion that you have through the hips, which are so important for moving, getting around, walking, dancing. So we'll just get started on the back, please. Coming into a constructive rest pose. So knees are bent, feet planted, at least hip width apart. Option to bring the knees together. Hands lightly on the low belly. Okay, soften the elbows, the shoulders. Eyes could stay open. Okay, maybe you close them if that's comfortable. Drawing your attention to this space, this experience. Notice your breathing. Simply breathe through the nose. Making inhales and exhales as even as you can. Give yourself a few more rounds. Maintain this three-dimensional breath to carry calm and focus through your practice. Another full cycle. Open the eyes. Take a full body stretch. Arms back, feet forward. Reaching past fingertips and toes. Invite movement into the ankles and wrists, rolling them around. Okay, go both directions. Then curl the knees towards your chest, hands over the shins or knees. Pull the thighs gently towards you. Bringing a stretch into the lower back, connected to the hips. The thighs. You rock a little bit side to side next. Then stir the knees around, moving them together. Okay, go several times in each direction. The circle could be small. Perhaps you widen it if the hips allow. Okay, make sure you've gone both directions. And then keeping knees bent, just bring your legs to center. Without moving left leg, we're going to isolate the right thigh, moving or stirring the right knee around. You try not to move anything else. Your hand guides the knee, go both directions. Bring right knee to center. Without moving the right leg, let's give left knee a stir. And just start in one direction. A couple more times, creating circles. And go the other way. And left knee to center. Step your feet on the mat. About hip width apart, setting up for bridge pose. So arms are down by your sides. Keep your gaze at the ceiling, pressing feet down. Raise the pelvis. Okay, the spine will follow. Lifting through the hips, lengthening the front of the hips here. Okay, squeeze your glutes a bit at the top. Another breath. In slow motion, lower the spine and hips down. Take a pause. And we'll do one more easy bridge. Pressing through the feet, activate the legs, raise the pelvis. Keep knees pointing forward, pressing evenly through the feet. One more breath. With control, lower the spine and pelvis down. Give yourself a moment. Then take your feet wider, maybe mat width. You can move arms away from you comfortably. Do some windshield wiper legs, right to left. As the knees go side to side, your pelvis swivels with the legs. And you might turn your head in the opposite direction of the knees, so you create this spiral throughout the body. Okay, take knees to chest, wrapping arms around your legs. Give yourself a hug. Okay, to get to tabletop, you can rock forward and back a few times or roll to one side. Just choose your route and we'll meet on all fours in your tabletop position. Stacking the joints. Okay, so hips are over knees, shoulders are over wrists. Spread the fingers wide. Okay, so let's get familiar with tipping the pelvis forward and back for cow and cat. Okay, you need to start from the pelvis, and that tells the spine where to go. So for cow, think of spilling or tipping the pelvis forward. So your tailbone goes up, then the belly lowers, extending the spine in cow. Okay, just do the opposite, tipping the pelvis back to flex or round the spine in cat. Again, initiate at the hips, pelvis tilts forward for cow, then back for cat. Okay, slowly continue through cow and cat. Take a couple more rounds, initiating from the hips. And create a strong relationship between the pelvis and spine. Another cycle, no rush. Okay, come to neutral. Neutral with the spine and even the pelvis. We don't want to tip it forward or back too much here. Low belly toned. Extend your right leg behind you. Keep upper body strong, pressing through the hands. Bend your right knee. And we'll just draw little circles behind you with the right knee. As you do this, try not to move or shift around too much in the rest of the body. So not really loose, instead more rigid, engaged, and sturdy. So draw a few circles each direction with that right knee. The circle might get wider, might get bigger. You return to tabletop. Give yourself a moment. Then extend your left leg back, bending left knee. And without moving or shifting too loosely through the body, we'll just draw circles behind us with that left knee. Okay, abs intact, pressing through hands. Okay, your circle could get bigger. Okay, just don't compromise the stability of the rest of the body. Explore both directions. And then return to tabletop. Okay, if you need to give hands a little shake, go ahead and do that. Okay, we're going to lower onto the stomach, which you can do from a plank, maybe supported plank with knees on the ground. Lower to the stomach. And then just stack hands in front of you. Make a pillow for the head. The legs are long and close together. We'll work on some hip extension. So extension is when you move the thighs behind you, you're lengthening the front of the hips, and this will require strengthening hamstrings. Okay, so now you're going to bend the right knee, flex or point the right foot. Squeeze an imaginary tennis ball between your right calf and thigh. Squeezing that tennis ball the whole time. Can you lift your right knee? It might just be a little bit. Focus on lifting, not on height. Keep the front of your hips level on the mat. Lower the knee down. Okay, my head is raised so you can hear me better. Again, lift your right knee. Squeeze the ball breathe. Lower the knee down. Once more, lifting your knee, firing up the hamstring, squeeze the tennis ball. Take another breath here. A little shaking is strength. Lower the knee and release right foot back. Okay, take a rest. Other side, left knee bends. Flex or point the foot. Okay, there's an invisible tennis ball between your calf and thigh. Squeeze that tennis ball. Okay, you're already turning the hamstring on here by bending the knee. Okay, but while you squeeze the ball, bend the knee, lift it. Okay, try to lift. It doesn't have to be high. Lower the knee down. Same thing, lifting your knee. Squeeze the ball, hips level, lower it down. Once more, lifting your knee, we'll hold this a bit longer. Squeeze the ball, lift, breathe. One more cycle. And release. Left foot back, soften the hips, the thighs. If you experience any muscle cramping, it might just be because a muscle isn't used to that action. But with time, the muscle adapts, the nervous system adapts, so it doesn't make things cramp up as a kind of a defense mechanism. Okay, just be patient. From here, we'll slide the hands outside the ribs and go to child's pose. Pressing into hands. Okay, bring hips towards the heels. Maybe they touch. Knees can be at any comfortable width. Knees could also be together. Okay, let the head relax. Then raising your head. Okay, sit on the mat. Hips go to one side. Bring legs forward. So we're going to move into what you can call a 90-90 position because we are going to create 90-degree angles at the knees. So just facing the front of your mat, let's begin with right leg in front of you. So you want to bend the knee, make a right angle. So the shin is pretty much parallel to the short end of your mat. Now your left leg will be to your left. Okay. And you also want to make a right angle or 90-degree angle at your left knee. So the knee is just to the left of the hip. Okay. Now if this is very uncomfortable, very hard to hold, you could raise the hips by sitting on a block. Okay. Blocks are super helpful, just raise the ground. Okay. Then you can sustain this better. You have hands for support, okay, in front of you. Take a moment to let the hips acclimate to this position. Get really familiar with this position. We're going to be here for a little while and revisit it. Okay, so for a variation of half pigeon to stretch the right outer hip, we're going to start to hinge forward. Okay? And you decide how far you go, of course. Only you know how this feels. Just build that body awareness. You could always back off and stay upright. Okay? Otherwise, just hinging at the right hip. Use the arms for support. We'll just spend a little time here. A few more breaths. Perhaps you can lower the chest more. Pressing into hands, lift the chest, return to a more upright position back to where you started. Okay, now we'll bring some focus to left hip. Okay, legs will stay the same. Okay, do your best to keep the torso straight up, but leaning a little to your side is normal and can be helpful. We're going to try to do some external rotation. So without moving your left foot, can you lift your left knee and just try to open that leg up towards the ceiling, keeping the right angle. Okay, lower the knee with control. And again, you're going to open the knee. Outer hip stuff works. Try to pull that knee towards the ceiling. Okay, left foot still on the floor. Lower your knee down. Okay, practice control. Once more, open your left knee up towards the sky. Pause here. One more breath. Lower your leg down. Return to where you started, resetting. Okay, so we're just really trying to see your ability to move through these ranges of motion. Okay, it's not about how far you can go. Okay, just focus on quality, on what is sustainable. Next, we'll try some internal rotation in that left hip. So without moving your left knee, keeping it glued to the ground, can you lift your left foot? Okay, mine is just like a few inches. It doesn't have to be high. Lower your foot down. Okay. Imagine this rotation really coming from high up deep in the hip. So your thigh bone spins forward and down. Lift your left foot. Lower. If you get a cramp, you can take a break. Again, lift your left foot. Let's try to hold this one. Pull your foot away from the earth. Take another breath. Lower the foot down and pause. Soften through the hips without changing the shape of the legs. Now let's try this transition to get to the other side. And we're going to open left knee up towards the ceiling like you did not too long ago. Keep pulling that knee up, turn your chest to your left, and point both knees to the ceiling. Okay. Heels are still on the ground. You might need to lean back on hands, that's okay. Pull your knees farther from each other. Okay. If you need more challenge, maybe arms forward. Okay. Then you're going to take both knees to your left, and then we'll be on the other side. So we're in that 90-90 position. Okay, make any adjustments necessary. So you have right angles, 90-degree angles at your knees. Okay, you could stay on a block if you need to raise the floor. Okay, take a few moments to acclimate. Notice how each side is usually a little different, maybe very different. Okay, by exploring different ways of movement, you can bring more balance to the body. Okay, so let's try that half pigeon variation for the stretch in the left hip. Okay, start to hinge forward, lowering the chest mindfully. You can always reposition hands so you feel very supported. If you need less, just don't hinge forward as much. Consciously breathing through the nose. It sends good signals to the nervous system, keeping it feeling nurtured, safe, and more willing to open up. And a few more breaths. Maybe the chest lowers. Lift up. Upright through the torso. Remember that if you need to lean a little to your side, for here it would be the left, that's fine. Okay, so attention now deep into the right hip. Okay, let's start with external rotation. Without moving right foot, can you lift your right knee? Okay, it might be a little bit, maybe a lot more. Just don't force it, use strength. Lower your knee down. What range of motion can you control? Okay, again, open your knee. Outer hip stuff squeezes. Lower your knee down. Okay, keep that right angle. And once more, we're going to open the knee. Try to hold this one a little longer. Breathing. Pull that knee up towards the ceiling. And with control, lower it down. Pausing. Okay, now we'll do the opposite, trying to internally rotate. We need internal rotation to balance out that external. So without moving your right knee, lift your right ankle. Just think of pulling it up away from the mat. Lower down. And again, okay, this rotation comes from deep in the right hip. Lift your right foot. Lower down. Then once more, lifting right foot. Strong here through the pelvis. Hold and breathe. One more cycle. Don't let gravity pull your foot down. Then softly release. You relax the hips, okay, without changing legs. We'll try that wide knee transition to return to the first side. Start by lifting right knee. Begin turning your chest to the right. Point both knees to the ceiling. Arms could be forward, maybe hands behind you for support. Pull knees farther from each other. You then will spin, swivel, knees to the right. Returning to the first side. Okay. Have those 90-degree angles, 90-90 position. Okay, we're going to try to put together all of these different components that we just explored. Okay. Take note of where your left knee is. That'll be the tapping point. We're basically going to tap the left knee and heel in this spot. Okay. So now, using outer left thigh and hip stuff, can you hover your whole left leg off the ground? Try to lift it and release. Okay, you might lean to the right. And again, hover left leg, lower it down. Okay, once more, you're gonna hover the leg. We're going to add on in a moment. Okay, just remember where your left knee was. You're gonna open your left knee to the sky, tap left heel to that spot. Lift your heel, rotate in, bring the knee down, tap the knee in that spot. Okay, once more, open knee to the sky, tap the heel. Lift the heel, rotate in, tap the knee. Lower your left foot. Okay, taking a few breaths here. Soften through the hips. Okay, let's try the wide leg transition. So lifting left knee. Okay, your feet pretty much stay where they are. Point knees to the sky, with or without using hands. Pull knees farther from each other. Then we'll swivel knees to the left. 90-90. One more time on this side. Okay. Look at where right knee is. Feel where it is. That's going to be our tapping points as we combine some of these motions. Okay, we're going to use outer leg stuff, all this stuff here, to hover right leg off the ground. Do your best. Lower the leg. Okay, breathing helps. Again, hover right leg. And lower. Okay, one side's usually a little stronger or easier or harder. Once more, hover your leg. Okay, remember where your right knee was. Okay, try to rotate the leg open, knee towards the ceiling, tap your right heel where your knee was. Lift your heel, rotate the leg in, tap the knee down to that spot. Okay, rotate outward, tap the right heel. Knee is pointing up. Then rotate in, tap the knee down. Lower your foot. Relax here. Another breath. Let's try one more transition. Just to face, I guess, forward or center. You're going to spin right knee up. Turning your chest right, both knees to the ceiling, with or without hands on the ground. Pull knees farther from each other. Okay, can you lift your left foot, place it in front of you, and then lift right foot, place it in front of you, soles of the feet together. Okay, you could keep arms forward or hold ankles or feet. Open up the diamond more if you need, if that helps you sit tall, and reach your chest forward. A little stretch here, symmetrical posture. Another breath. Then sit up. Hands hands to outer knees. Bring your legs together. Okay, you can extend the legs forward. Okay, bounce the knees, shake legs out. Well, that's it for our hip mobility practice. I hope this was helpful in seeing all the ways that you can move through the pelvis and just feel how important it is to turn on all these muscles that do move us. Feel free to take a resting posture here or move on with your day. I really appreciate you joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.